Hi, everybody. Oh, that's weird. My slide deck is doing a weird thing. Let's see if I can open that up. We're going to close that up. So I'm starting off with a technical glitch. Have sympathy for me. How is everybody? I'm just going to go in the chat. Give. Oh, I got kicked out. Okay. I am live. Okay, I'm back. I'm live. Um, so hello. Um, I hope everybody is having a good day. I've attended a few of the sessions. They've been awesome and I've been super enjoying them. What was interesting is I just watched the one on ADHD, which I don't have, but I love these conferences because they give you different perspectives on things that, um, they might not be your gig, but you can always learn something from them because I have lots of people in my life that do have ADHD. It always gives me some insight. But aside from that, it also gave me some thoughts around focus and staying on track and some different things like that. So that was super interesting. So I hope everybody is enjoying it as much as I am. If I get all twitchy here, that's because we are having summer in October up here outside of Toronto, and I've got these weird little bugs that have taken over my office. It's like they've come back from hibernation or something. So have a little sympathy on me on my bugs. So why don't we get on with getting on? And let me see if I can more successfully share my screen this time. Uh, here we here we go. Yay! Okay, so I'm going to share my slide deck. So today is standardize to optimize the benefits of building a streamlined tech stack. And this is part of the bookkeeping specific track. So excellence in financial management, focusing on unique challenges and opportunities. I love to think of them as opportunities. I don't know about y'all, but I love being a bookkeeper and I'm a certified professional bookkeeper up here in Canada. We're exploring best practices for streamlining bookkeeping processes, utilizing technology, and delivering exceptional client services to scale your bookkeeping practice. I would also like to say, because I'm actually working on an employee handbook, I do weird things. Employee handbook for a client of mine, aka my daughter. And in that handbook today, I just added a section on exceptional team member experiences as well. And I think our technology can bring together both exceptional team and client experiences because we need both sides of that. I want you to imagine how you would feel if your tech stack were rationalized to empower efficiency and simplification of your workflows. Today's agenda is we're going to explore the core verticals of a standardized accounting tech stack, and we're going to take a look at reducing redundancy and streamlining operations. Canadians in here. I'm just back to the chat for a moment because I want to, it just makes it so much more real. I want to see how everybody's doing. We've got some Canadians in there. Aylmer, which is not too far. West Virginia, super fun. We've got another CPB. Oh, hi, Christine. Um, okay, so okay, I love seeing where everybody is from, but I guess I better get on with getting on because I've only got 40 minutes, and those people who know me know I love to talk. Okay, so I'm Kellie Parks, and I want every accounting professional to love running a cloud based firm as much as I do. One of the other things that I want to talk about, though, is how you can take your real life experiences and move them on into your business. Sometimes we need to think of them as one and the same. My husband and I, our goal, we moved into a cabin 7 years ago and we've been renovating it. And we had an end run of that. We love to entertain, we love to be outside, we love to cook, and we don't want to have too many things. We didn't want to be overwhelmed with a big house, and we didn't want to be overwhelmed with too many things. All of this led back to a streamlined kitchen, if you will, where we don't have a lot of redundancy in our kitchen equipment. So, although we dine with friends, often here 3 or 4 nights a week, sometimes more, we don't have all of the gadgets and the gadgets We don't have all of the flashy, fatty things. We rarely add something to our kitchen tech stack, if you will, because we don't want to manage too many things and we don't want to have to store too many things. It feels calm to us. It completely mitigates overwhelm of stuff. And it's the same thing with our apps. We also love best in class. So because we're not buying too many things, we are actually putting money into the things that really give us value. So, for example, we love Le Creuset. Most of our pots are Le Creuset. They are top of the line. They can be spendy, but they cook beautifully. They look beautiful. They clean amazingly well and they last forever. They are incredibly amazing. The other thing is they don't have non-stick coatings. What that means is that the other things we use with them, and also you can use them on an induction burner. So they integrate well with the other things that matter to us. We don't actually want too much plastic in our life. So we don't want to use plastic utensils too much because they're heating up and the whole microplastic thing. And also plastic utensils don't work as well. They're either soft or I don't like the feel of them. So because our Le Creusettes in cast iron, we can have metal utensils. And then those utensils can actually be in this beautiful little jar on our counter because they look nice as well. They're consistent, they all look the same. So we have chosen best in class in our kitchen that integrates well, that does a great job achieving the outcome of how we want to live our life, the house we want to live in, and what we want that house to feel like for us. So I want you to think of your tech stack in that same way. How can you streamline it and how can you organize it so it achieves your outcomes, but it is still comfortable doing what you want to do and best in class without being too spendy? You show us your kitchen. Maybe I should do a video of my kitchen organized. I do love an organized kitchen. So, what are the core verticals of a standardized accounting tech stack? You're going to have your accounting tech vertical. You've got your pre-accounting. That's your document and expense management. So, where are source documents going to go into? Where are the documents that are secure that are going to go into? How are you going to manage expenses for employees? Or how are you going to help owners manage their own expenses that maybe they're paying things personally or they've got a personally guaranteed credit card, whatever the case may be? And what do you want to go into where? So for me in the pre-accounting, we're Canadian, so we need those source documents from our clients, the receipts and all of the things. We also need the bank statements. And I do have clients with expense management. So some of that front end stuff is going into Dex because it can be published over to QuickBooks Online. But I want other things to go where they are more usable for me. So secure documents, let's say I need the incorporation documents. Let's say I need the trial balance and reports. I do a lot of file reviews and file cleanups. Those things, I want them all to go into Financial Sense. So they're being called up in a task for a client and they're going into Financial Sense. And then I've got it right there in the project where I'm going to be doing the work. And I'm just coming off of a big one this week, and it worked so seamlessly for me because here's the other thing I want. I don't want to have to download something and then open it. I want to be able to open it while I'm working on it right from that screen. So decide what your outcome is and what your tech stack will do to achieve that. So all these bank statements, because I was doing a catch up, all of these bank statements, I just wanted to open them and reconcile them right from that screen. And Financial Sense hit that mark for me because you don't have to download to view a document. So find out what your preferences are and make sure you are streamlining your tech stack to do that. So again, the outcome was did not want to download and then open, especially since Adobe right now is a hot mess on my desktop, and it is opening things up and doing all weird things with them. I don't want them. I could just open them, look at the bank statements, and I raced through some of those reconciliations because I had pre-done the work in the bank feed. Accounting. So for me, I love them all. I love QuickBooks Online. I love Xero. I love FreshBooks, but I can't work in them all. I am a micro firm. I'm not even small. I'm micro. And also, I have clients coming and going. Kim wants to know what I'm doing to avoid downloading the file. Two things. Indexed, you can view it. In Financial Sense, when you click on a document, it opens it right there in the screen. So Financial Sense opens the document so you can view it. You don't have to download it and then open it in another program. It's magic. Um, okay, yeah, Excel is a different case, but I'm going back to some of these PDFs, which is the majority of what my clients are uploading. Okay, accounting. I love all the cloud accounting programs, but I can only manage one because I don't want all different processes. I don't want to have to manage any more apps. And I'm pretty good at QuickBooks Online. So I can bring value to somebody by choosing just one. I actually can do FreshBooks. I use it myself for my international billing if it's not part of an automatic build thing. But core accounting is still done in QuickBooks Online. So see what you can do to streamline that part of your tech stack. If you do accounts payable and accounts receivable for your client or yourself, then really what you want to do is make sure that you don't need too many programs to do that. And so I use a program that I can get my AR into and that I can get my accounts payable out of. So I don't have to have one for each. If you decide that you want to have one for each of those for whatever the various reasons are, that's fine too. But again, if it comes back to rationalizing how many apps you want to deal with, then think about what can some of these things do for you in one app? What are sort of some of the multiple things that they can do for you? I also want to say, somebody said, what do I use for AR and AP? I use a program called Pluto, Plooto, and it does both sides, accounts payable and accounts receivable. Somebody wants to know what's the difference between spend management and accounts payable. That's a really good question. So spend management would be something like Ramp or Float, where you have cards, where you're managing some of the expenses that the firm or that the business itself is paying for. Accounts payable is if employees are sending in expenses that need to be paid back and you're paying bills for vendors. Spend management is more how are you going to have your clients spend their money, and they do cross over these days. They really cross over, so take a look at that when you're rationalizing your tech stack. Things I didn't put in the slide deck, but I want to mention because I think that it's really important is if you start to have too many apps, you start to have more security issues. The more logins, the more data you have out there in the wild west of the internet, the more the possibilities are for intrusions into those apps. You're just putting them all out there more. So, rationalizing your tech stack can really help with security issues. If you start to rationalize your tech stack, ensure that you get some of the secure data out of the tech stack that you are, or the applications you are leaving. So get them out of there, undo any integrations that you have, super important. Unintegrate them, get the data out of there, and then close the account. Sometimes you might even want to do one last password change and then close the account. But this is a really key part of rationalizing your tech stack is the whole security aspect of it for the ones that are live and the ones that you are leaving. While we're on that note, QuickBooks. If you are disengaging a QuickBooks file, either from a client or because you're no longer going to be managing it, whatever the reason is, the first thing you should do is unintegrate any integrations that you have into the QuickBooks Online file. Because if you don't, and you are removed as an accountant user or an admin user, anything that you have integrated will still show you in the audit log as making transactions in the file. So this is a really key part of rationalizing your tech stack is be careful what you're doing with the ones that you are leaving. Super important. Okay, what are the specialty apps? This is a place where you can go way off the rails on applications. What I would do is vet what the outcomes most of your clients are looking to achieve and look for an app that does that. E-commerce apps are a really great example of this because some e-commerce apps can bring in line items, can bring in customer data. They are super robust in what they bring in. Where some of the other apps integrate only as a journal entry with a basic sale and then how things are paid. So find out what the majority of your clients want and probably specialize in that app. And unless the outlier clients are really worth keeping and having an app that does specifically what they want, think long and hard about whether you want to have that app as a part of your tech stack. This is where it come back to those accounts payable and accounts receivable ones as well. There's a lot of them out there. Do you want to specialize in one accounts payable app? Like I said, I use Pluto. Not only does it payables, it does receivables. But I have some friends that also need to help with spend management. So they've got their clients into Ramp. But Ramp is working for the majority of their clients. So figure out what your clients need and how you can rationalize the specialty apps that you are using with them. Figure out who the outliers are and are those apps that you should really be involved in. I want to go into the questions for a second. My clients send me AP and AR through email and I enter them in QBO. Should I get something different? So that's a great question. It really depends on what the outcomes you're trying to achieve, how efficient the system is, and what apps you want to add. So how did you like that for a non-answer, Nicole? I'm sorry. What multiple apps present? If multiple apps present security issues, why not use APAR in QBO instead of a separate app? This is a really good question. You need to find out if the in-app features are going to suit the way that you are processing your accounting. So yeah, sometimes AR and AP can be processed smoothly inside of QBO. In Canada, for example, it's a little more dodgy for us. So it's really hard for us to use some of those programs within QBO. Some of the outside apps are maybe more robust, especially if there is a lot of accounts payable, then the outside apps really help streamline the process. So though I said streamline your tech stack, you also have to always keep in mind that streamlining the process part of it. My slides don't want to move along. Okay, what does the internal vertical look like? So you need a practice management app. I highly recommend it. You could call me a sole operator. I'm one person with two part-time employees. And I still love having a practice management app. And I chose Financial Sense because it fixed so many issues for me. And I loved the experience with it. So make sure that's working for you. One of the problems that I had was communicating with my clients and making an exceptional client experience for them. And so that really solved some of the problems for me. So I believe mightily in practice management app. I think taking yourself out of Excel, although I still love to build some stuff in Excel, But putting yourself into a practice management app is going to be a game changer on streamlining how you're getting work done, internal communications, automation. And so when you're picking an app, figure out what the things that are going to solve your problems, and then find one that solves as many of those problems as possible while still keeping some best in class apps. So one of the things that practice man, I got under their form building. I wanted a best in class form building application. I have Google Workspace. I could have used Google Forms, but I chose to use Typeform, which is spendy, because of the end user experience and because of the robust way that I can phrase questions and change answers and change actions for to send them a booking link or not have them access a booking link, for example. I wanted that best in class experience, so I took it out of Google Forms and I used Typeform. Contracting and engagement, I am now moving into Financial Sense because of the Adobe integration for signing. And so I'm in the process of that. So most of my internal actions are now being done in my practice management app. And so Lisa wants to know what the name of the form builder that I love. It is Typeform, all one word. And it is not inexpensive, but man, what it does for me is pretty magic. I do file reviews. So at the beginning of that process, there is a link on my website to the file review form. It asks a few questions in the beginning to make sure I can bring value to them. I only do QuickBooks Online file reviews, for example. Then there is a payment. It's behind a paywall. Then they ask a whole bunch of other questions. I ask a bunch of questions. When they submit that form, it is integrated with Zapier into Financial Sense. Financial Sense, it finds and creates finds or creates a content because they meant contact. Easy for me to say because it might already be in there. Finds and creates contact. And then it kicks off my file review workflow. Typeform sent an email that said, here's what to expect in Financial Sense, my practice management app. It's going to ask you to do some tasks. Please ask to add 2FA to it and ensure you use the same email that you have in this form as you use to log into Financial Sense. When they log in, everything they need to do, their task list is already sitting there for them. What to upload, how to add me to QuickBooks Online as an accountant user, what to expect. There's a little blurb on that. Then I do the file review tasks, and then there's a brand new set of tasks that get deployed for the client afterwards for them to download the video and download the report. So find out what you can get into one app, but what else you need to integrate that is best in class with it. I probably can't go back to all of the questions. Somebody said there's some questions in the app. If if it's an important question that you really want answered, could you please put it back in again so that I can see it fresh? What's the internal tech stack? So your back office. What is your app suite? I personally, we're a Google house, so we use Google, but I still need Excel and PowerPoint. I don't really need Word. I need Excel and PowerPoint because they do some things that are pretty specific in our world. But I don't have much data in Microsoft. Sometimes I even have trouble logging into it, even though I have a but the bug, password management app. So the back office one, Microsoft and Google and Zapier, in my case, are really going to cover off a lot of the things. What security apps do you have? So I have some backup apps. QBO is backed up by Rewind. And then I have a product called Cloud HQ. It backs up my Google Suite. Google Suite has a native backup, but it doesn't make any sense for me to back up Google to Google in case I'm locked out of Google, which I have been. So it backs up everything onto Dropbox. And so there is a little redundancy in some of my apps, but it's worthwhile because I've got those backups running. I also have one password, and I want you to think of a password management app as integral part of your tech stack for managing passwords. And I have a blog on how to implement one because implementing one can be a bit tough in the beginning. So if you go to Calmwaters, CALMWATERS.ca, there'll be a button for blog. If you go to my blog, there's an entire category on security. And in there, there is one on implementing a password manager app. And then there is one on using password managers securely, because you got to use the app securely too. But my password management app is also an efficiency app. It opens things automatically for me. It enters the passwords, obviously, but it also stores all kinds of other useful data. But be careful what you have in there. So, for example, my passport is in there, but not the city where I was born. My credit cards are in there, but not the expiry dates. So, I've kept some of the PII details out of there, but I can still access them. So, that's an integral part of my internal tech stack is my security tech stack. What are your marketing and sales ones? What is your website built on? And if it is built on a platform that you can do email campaigns and blogging and e-commerce, you've really streamlined that process. I use Squarespace specifically for that. It hosts my website. I can blog on it. The blogs can convert to an email, and I sell templates. And I can sell templates on them. So it does a whole lot of stuff for me. And then it integrates with QuickBooks Online, and I have some apps coming out of there as well that is feeding the data out of that program. Another really important one is going to be your CRM. We use Financial Sense for this. This comes back to how much Financial Sense can do for us. So with Financial Sense, it has become our CRM because we can put notes in there, we can track leads in there, we can have automatic workflows that happen based on Zapier kicking some things off. And so it really has rationalized our need for a few other apps, including our CRM. So somebody said, what are the two backup apps for QBO and one for so QBO is Rewind. Oh, thank you, Elaine. And Google is Tracy, and Google is Cloud HQ. And then somebody asked, I think I saw it, what does rationalize your tech stack mean? Rationalize my tech stack means I don't want to have multiple apps that are crossing over and doing the same things. Sometimes it'll happen. So you're going to have a few apps that do the same things. Pick what those apps do the best and use that in them. But try not to have too many apps that are doing all of the same things. I'll give you an example. Word and a Google Doc essentially do the same thing. I don't need Word because I am cloud-based. 99% of the time, it is going to be in a Google Doc. Sometimes when I download it to my desktop, of course, it converts it to a Word doc, but I rarely do that. Instead, I'm downloading a PDF and sending it off, if that made sense to me. So somebody asked how much I said I spend on all my apps. I actually didn't mention how much I spend on all my apps. And I'm going to say this as nicely as possible. It is irrelevant what I spend on my apps because my firm doesn't look like your firm. But what you may want to do is a percentage of income. What are you willing to spend? So I break out now. I don't pay for my clients' apps, so they pay for their decks. They pay for I pay for Rewind, but that's for my comfort. Unless the client's heavy in it, then they pay for Rewind. I don't pay for their decks. I don't pay for their QuickBooks Online. I don't pay for their accounts payable programs, and I don't pay for their payroll. So my tech stack spend would look much different than a lot of other people's. And to that, if I did pay for those, because I did in the past, they went to cost of goods sold so that I could see what it looked like in terms of my my actual gross profit, what that spend was doing to my margins when it came to the work that I was doing for my clients. Typeform, I think, is $500 US a year for me. It does a lot. It's not really just a form builder. It does a whole lot of other things for me, but I have Google for free. I've decided that spend is worth it though for what I get out of Typeform. So it's really hard to define for my spend to be relative to anybody else's firm unless they're doing things exactly like I do. So I'm not evading the question, but I do want you to put the value behind it. And one of the things that I think is key is spending. Thanks for not answering. I know, Simone, I'm sorry. Um, you totally didn't answer. But one of the things that's really key is free apps can cost you in a lack of efficiency and in a lack of client engagement and in frustrations for your team. So be wary of not spending money on apps, but compare what the apps are going to do for you that essentially have the features you're looking for, and price can be a part of that matrix. I know I am. Somebody asked about onboarding. I'm using FC because we can have a workflow, and I want you. There is a Jenny Roast is killing it with managing leads in financial sense. And this is not part of what I have time to talk about today. So I want you to go find it's in the community, or it's probably on Financial Sense blog, or maybe somebody who can put it in. Jenny Roast is the one you want to look at how she's managing leads in there. Because my leads are starting in a type form and then they're coming into Financial Sense, and then I've got workflows in there that are kicked off using Zapier. Okay, so hardware tech stack. I recently redid mine. So I have a widescreen because my entire lifestyle has changed. And now I can have one of these widescreen monitors, just one. Before I traveled too much with my whole setup and I couldn't take a big widescreen. And now I just have one laptop. Um, Fun is 100% underrated. I am having so much fun with this. I have Stream Deck. We don't need a Stream Deck. A Stream Deck essentially is a little piece of hardware that creates hotkeys that you can just push a button and it does things. I probably don't need it, but I really like it. And it was only 150 bucks. And the magic it has done for me over the years. So that's called Stream Deck. You can look that up. And in Financial Sense, I bugged Financial Sense. I'm the one who wanted the confetti burst. I actually wanted dancing unicorns, but Adula said I could only have confetti. So I wanted gold star bursts for my clients, is actually what I wanted, but they've got confetti, and fun is so underrated. Just like UX and UI, which is how you interact with the apps, people are like, oh, I need all of these features. You also need to consider whether you love working in the app, whether the app has any fun factor. We like being rewarded for getting stuff done rather than being punished for the things we didn't get done, right? So somebody said, oh, yeah, great tool. If we can go back to accounting, I have the pro version of something called Right Tool. Right Tool creates a magic experience in QuickBooks Online. It creates all of the efficiency of QuickBooks Desktop, and it is put it into QuickBooks Online. Right Tool. I pay for it. It is worth it for the efficiency that it creates, but also, and this is important to think about, the stage frustration it removes. So it's not just about efficiency, it's also about what can we do that makes us less frustrated. There was a question in there. I saw it, and now it's gone. Hey, why not pay for the apps? This is an idea. If you have a mechanic, you're not paying for the tools if you're getting the car fixed. Right. If they pay for it, why don't I pay for the apps? It's not so. First of all, I want when client sees a bill, I only want them to see my cost. It elevates my value. Also, um, I often do file reviews, or I take on files for a couple of years and get them ready for sale. Maybe they're multi-entity, maybe they're looking for financing. So I am often getting out of the apps, but also as the apps increase in price, I find it very hard to push those price increases along, because now I've got to change all of my payments are almost all coming into me automatically. I have to go in and change them all. And so laziness is a really big part of it. It's just not part of my business model. I'm not going to make enough money wholesaling the apps to make it worthwhile for me. That's a business model you need to decide on. Is that going to work for you? Okay, wish me luck getting through this. These are the girls that you may have seen coming in and out of my office. These are my little doggos. Reducing redundancy and streamlining operations. How many things can an app do? But how many things can an app do well? This is really, really key to think about. This is back to the best in class. There is a link in the PDF handout that will take you to how to conduct a tech stack audit. It's just a simple fillable Word doc. Go through it, figure out, download it, and figure out what's working for you. Now, I built this in a Google Doc. The formatting isn't going to be nearly as pretty when you do it, when you download it, but don't judge me. Just go ahead and fill it out. So I want you to go through that to help start identify where your tech stack redundancies are. Optimize your budget. What are your necessary expenses? And this goes back to Rate Tool, for example, the amount that of frustration that it reduces is key to think about, not just what are the great things that an app is doing for you. Identify your unnecessary expenses and weigh that against the costs. What are the common areas where expenses can be reduced? I will say it may be a form builder because Google has it. So decide, do you really need that client experience? For me, that's a hard yes. That may be an area. I already mentioned having several GLs, several specialty apps. Make sure that you are taking a look where the expenses can be reduced. These are Financial Sense does a whole ton of stuff for me. This is a lot of the things that it's got right in there that super help me reduce or streamline my tech stack. And so automation is in there. I love native automation, although I can build automation. I love when something has a lot of native automation. It probably works better. And there's less time on me fixing broken things with integrator apps like Zapier. If an app changes, which Typeform did, it can break your process. So that happened to me about a year ago now. So what are the things that you can have in one, and what are the integrations that you can have? So I want you to imagine how you would feel if your tech stacks were rationalized to empower efficiency and simplification of your workflows. Do you have any questions for us? But of course, you've been putting them in. And so I really appreciate everybody taking the time to come to my session. I will be at QuickBooks. No, it's Intuit Connect. Come say hi. I love to meet people. I'll be at the Financial Sense booth for sure. I am also going to be at Accountex, Toronto, here in Canada. I will be at the Financial Sense booth there quite a bit. And I would love if people came up and found me and said hello. Again, thank you for joining us. It's been my pleasure to have you here today.